Remember the last video we talked about functions in programming and made a simple calculator with 3 different functions? Yet, it turned out that we can only add up 2 numbers. What if we wanted to add up 3 or more numbers? More functions? Well, we don't want the code to be too messy. So let's take a closer look at how the calculator actually works. For the first 2 numbers, we simply add them together and show the result. But starting from the third number, we add it based on the result we've already got. This creates a new result. More numbers? No problem. This gives us a brand new idea. So what if we have a sticky note that helps us to remember the latest result? We start by writing 0 on it as the initial value. For the first 2 numbers, we get the result and replace the number we had. Next, instead of adding 2 new numbers, we put the value of our sticky notes, which represent the original result, as the input. With the third number, we get a brand new result. Isn't that amazing? With an infinite potential. Just like the sticky notes we created, a named container that stores values, we call it a variable. Your business card, for example, has all sorts of information. They are all variables that can change over time. Each variable can only have a specific kind of data type, which we talked about in the previous episode. Your name, for instance, can't be a number, can it? Sorry, James Bond, but in the real world, it's not possible. Now, let's put our amazing idea to create a better calculator using code. First, we create a variable called result and set it to 0. Then, we add the first 2 numbers and send the value to the result variable. This way, we can print the value of the result to display the answer. For the next input, we add it to the variable. And that's it. If we want to do more calculations, we just need to duplicate and change the function name. And it's all set. Now, let's talk a little bit about syntax. In most programming languages, we often shorten the set2 function to an equal sign. But here's the catch. This doesn't mean the same as the equal sign in math. If it did, we wouldn't be able to explain why the result is equal to itself plus a number. Also, some basic calculation functions, like add, are also simplified to the plus sign. Even though they might not look like proper functions, the logic behind them is actually the same. A variable changes over time, but if a variable stays the same forever, we call it a constant. Just like in math, we can use the letter to represent a constant. But you might be wondering, if a constant never changes, why do we use a symbol to represent its value instead of just using the value itself? Well, let's ask our best friend to explain to us. In Super Mario Bros., the score, coins, road, and time all change during the game, making them variables. However, the speed he runs and the height he jumps are fixed. This means they are constants, meaning they stay the same throughout the game. When the developers were working on the game, they might tweak the value of these constants to make the gameplay feel more balanced and enjoyable. One way to save time and effort is use a symbol or name to represent these constants. Instead of directly changing the parameters of every related function, you can simply modify the value of the constant. This way, you can make changes to the game without having to go through the hustle of finding and updating every single parameters. Just a heads up, a constant is a fixed value that never changes while the program is running. However, during the development process, you can always change the value of these constants as needed. Well, time to wrap up. Today, we use variable, a named container to store our value of the result. Also, we use constant, the fixed variable, helping Mario to jump higher. We use code to upgrade our calculator and know that sometimes we can simplify a function in a different way. Before you leave, here is one more thing. Notice that we can create software with only functions and memories, like variables and constants. Even some functions are transformed into different syntax. Actually, the program contains solely functions and memories. All the logic and syntax of the programming can transform to these two elements. Maybe you still doubt it, but you'll get it in the future episodes. Next video, we'll jump to the first logic of programming, condition. Even if you know it before, I will explain it in a completely different way than you ever know. Ciao and have a nice day.